Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another self-knowledge conference. Today we'll be studying this interesting topic, explanations about family and attachments, conference number 35. The objectives of this conference are understanding what the family is and the misconceptions we have about it, studying the value it has in esoteric work, also understanding the problems it causes in the development of esoteric work, and the stagnation and conflicts that attachment generates. The first thing we are going to learn is that we have three families. The first kind of family is related to the outside world, where we find our physical body and personality. The physical family is, our father, mother, brothers, wife, children, uncles, cousins, grandparents, grandchildren, etc., etc. The second family is related to the soul, mind, or energy. This part of the soul is what we are going to call our inner world. The psychological family is our entire ego or ways of being, 90% of essence or trapped consciousness. The third family is the one related to the spirit or consciousness. It is the part that we are going to call our inner world from within. The real family is the 3% of free consciousness, to which we will add all that we rescue from the psychological prison. Each one of these psychological elements that we have has a real and true part that is trapped inside it. Well, so let's delve a little more about the physical family. Undoubtedly, we all need the physical body to be able to exist and do the work. We all have the right to have 108 physical human bodies by law of return. This implies that we must be born 108 times. Therefore, we will have 108 mothers and 108 fathers. It also implies that we will have to pay for the different bodies that have been given to us. Let's remember the laws of return and recurrence. So, the human being at birth is defenseless. That is why we must have a mother to take care of us until we can defend ourselves. We call people born from the same mother, brothers, and sisters. So, which one of all the 108 mothers we have had is the real one? Which one of the 108 dads we have had is the real one? Which of all the thousands of brothers we have had are the real ones? Something to reflect on, right? So, we return in the seed of our descendants. That is to say, the grandfather who died can return in that child that we now consider to be his grandson. Even at the beginning of the involution process, when the person loses his 108 existences and already enters involution and must come in the body of animals, it returns to the same family as the household pet. If we have pets, we can investigate in the astral and realize which family member it was. For the reproduction of the species, it is necessary to get a partner. The creation of the existential bodies of the being will be done in sex, and for that we must have a stable partner. From the above, we see the importance of having a physical family. The wife or husband is a sister or a brother who is helping us, and we are helping her or him. The children are brothers to one we committed to collaborate, to one we owe a physical body because in past existences they also gave us a physical body. We see people on the street as strangers because they were not born in our house. We do not understand that they are our brothers. Isn't our home the planet Earth? Attachments do not allow us to understand that all human beings are brothers and sisters, and that there is no other link or title. So, now let's talk about the psychological family. The inner family is made up of elements called egos or psychological defects. These manage the different energies of the centers of the human machine and use it to power themselves. There are the 7 legion heads or cause eyes and the millions of other defects and details that have come from them. This inner family was formed by the misuse of sexual creative energy, by fornication. Let us remember that energy always creates, and when it comes to fornication, it creates downwards. It creates psychological defects, which will then continue to be fed with our energy. Also, all untransformed impressions due to lack of concentration create more psychological defects. Let us remember that impressions are the information we receive through the physical senses. If at the moment of feeling, seeing, smelling, or hearing something, we let ourselves be impressed by it and do not work with psychological depth to eliminate those impressions, we will be creating a new defect with that energy that we are misusing. The thing is that we spend all hours of the day receiving impressions without transforming them, causing the number of defects to increase exorbitantly. There are defects of all models, but each one has its own percentage of sparks or trapped essence, formed by the totality of energy that it has absorbed throughout its existence. That happens every time we feed the defect. The sum of them is our psychological family or inner world. As the poet from Mantua said, even if we had pallets of steel and 1,000 tongues, we would not be able to fully describe them. These defects are all our vices, desires, mistakes, sufferings, pleasures, reactions, etc., etc. And they are dearer to us than our physical children. Hence, the attachment we have to them. So, you are going to see it and verify it when you advance in the work of psychological death. We see a person who has an alcohol and drug addiction and does not mind leaving his physical children without food because he must feed the addiction first. We see how to defend our pride. We mistreat and humiliate our couple, okay? The couple we say we love so much and so on. So, now let's analyze the real family. We call it the true family because it will eternally exist. Our being is made up of many parts. All of them are unfoldings of our Father. So God as Father represents our wisdom. God as Mother is our essence, our raw material, our creative energy of the Holy Spirit, our love also. God as Son symbolizes justice, the psychological trainer, the giver of light, which is wisdom, and fire, which is love. These three primary forces unfold within us into three others, which are Atman, the intimate, the ineffable, the warrior, Buddhi, our divine soul, the Valkyrian, Manas, the will of Christ, the Word, our human soul. There are also many other parts of our being, such as the internal Christ, the 12 apostles, the 24 elders bakers, the 4 of Barajas, etc., etc., etc. Even our elemental intercessor is part of our being. This is our guardian angel. As we work on the three factors and the revolution of consciousness advances, the integration of our being begins. We'll experience that all those sparks which are currently trapped in the Legion are being freed and integrating in order to achieve sacred individuality, since in the end all of them will be an unit. Another interesting fact is that also as we work on ourselves and gain merits, we will be able to get to know each one of the parts of our own being personally in the astral and the functions they carry out within us. So now let's look at the question of attachments. What are we attached to? Why do we believe that being attached is being in love? In what are our attachments based on? An attachment is an emotional bond that extends over time. It can occur between people, such as the attachment we feel for our children, family, a friend, the couple, but also towards material things, such as a house, a vehicle, jewelry, or even towards immaterial things, as in the case of attachments towards our own psychological defects, towards our beliefs, cultures, personality, concepts, etc., etc. As we studied in the conference non-identification with the things of daily life, we can see that all attachments have their origin in fear, and that the devil disguises himself as love through attachment, because there is really a fear of losing or ceasing to feel the pleasure, comfort, or false happiness that which we are attached to provides us. This is not love at all, since fear is the antithesis of love. This issue of attachment is terrible. It ends up delaying and even paralyzing the possibility of self-realization if we do not understand it perfectly. A man and a female join together, and the first thing they look for is a house, a roof. Then they begin to fill it with furniture, and then they put down roots. Later come the children, properties, assets, and thousands of other nonsense. We stick to all the comforts. We suffer at the thought of losing them. We think about what our lives would be like without it. We lose ourselves in things and people. We have become accustomed to them. We don't want to make ourselves uncomfortable. We feel that it costs us a lot of work. We think that being without them would be like going back. We are worried about what they will say, what they will think, etc., etc. When have you seen a funeral with any movement? Never. So we feel like owners of the children, the wife, the husband, and this prevents us from seeing the reality of things, that of all things and circumstances in life pass. The reality is that each one of our children must learn to take care of themselves, that each one of them will reach youth and begin their own path, that our personality or responsibility, is to take care of them until they develop and form their own homes. But the most interesting thing is when a person learns to consciously unfold himself and discovers that he has not a real physical family. There he would forget about it, and if he was asked who are all the sparks on planet, he would say that they are all his sisters and brothers, because they all form the same thing as him, the great family of the inhabitants of planet Earth. Then, with that consciousness, he would say, well, then, who is my mom? Well, she's a sister, someone who helped me to have my physical body, who outed to me. Who is my dad? The same. Who are my children? People to whom I have to pay something I owe them, and so on. So they gave me a body before, and now I gave them a body. It's that simple. When life begins to be seen like this, we can begin to cause great changes in our psychology. Okay? So let's study this a little more. When a person dies after approximately 3 months, he carries out the process of detaching himself from his family and forgets all this. He stays living in his inner world. There he develops perfectly in the world of the soul. If he is conscious, he can continue living consciously. If he is asleep, he will live hypnotized in that inner world, waiting to be given another physical body to return to planet Earth. A serious problem in esotericism is given by attachment. When you are working on the inner world, you have to go through trails, and trails are passed or failed. If we are very attached, we generally fail the trails. Let us remember that there are the trails of the elements. Specifically, the air trail is related to attachment. With it, we will be measured, or our ability to detach ourselves from something will be measured, be it an object, a psychological defect, or even a person. If we are not capable, we fail the trail. Every time internally in the astral, we are thrown into an abyss and we scream. That scream is an equivocal symptom of an attachment. Attachment to the physical body, attachment to this, attachment to that, to a child, to a thing, etc., etc. And the masters make us see it internally, launching us from above. Then we feel the terror of losing and we scream. It is necessary to understand the conflict that exists with the family and attachments, to be very clear about it so as not to get stuck in the work. When you reach, for example, to the point of making the decision between the direct path or the path of nirvana, remember that out of 1,000 initiates, only one decides on the direct path. The remaining ones enter the path of nirvana due to attachment to the cause eyes, to the cause defects. These defects do not let us take the direct path. They make trouble and make us choose the path of nirvana. But let's see on the physical plane with the true esoteric worker. When the person awakens consciousness with esoteric work, he begins to meet the lords of the law on a daily basis. That's like being a lawyer. Every day you have to go to court 2 or 3 times because karma is being negotiated. The karma of 7 existences is being paid. There are crimes that are so serious and karmas so heavy that if they were to charge us for them, we will not be able to self-realize. So it is necessary to be negotiating daily. At a certain moment, Master Anubis may appear and tell us, look, this is the karma you have to pay. You have to negotiate it in such a way. And we could answer, well, let's do that, but not. I'm going to give an example, a case Master Samael wrote in one of his books. One night in the astral world, a partner met Anubis who told him, look, karma comes to you out of a pride and you will get leprosy. He answered, can I negotiate it? Yes, said Anubis. You will go to Brazil in 2 months to look for a brother. The man arrived at the physical plane, scratched his head and thought, my wife, my children's school, my house, my farm, my conference rooms, my colleagues, my comforts, my friends, my language, my money, my income, etc., etc. How am I going to go there? The truth of the case is that he looked for Anubis and told him, I'm not going, send me the leprosy. 2 months later, the family took him to a hospital. They put him there for 15 years. The man decided to pay with pain. 2 months later, he had no wife, no children, no car, no house, no farm. If he had gone to do his job, he would not have suffered so much. But his attachment to his things sank him terribly. So there are many similar to this case. When the family weighs more than the work, there is no possibility of passing any trail. It is important then that every person who is attempting self-realization of the being reflects and understands what the true position of each thing is. All the values that society has given to the family repeat the structure of society itself. When human beings were nomads and we traveled all over the planet, we moved, we were not planted. If we understand this, we will be able to do the work in a single existence. We will be able to move forward when we have to make the decisions. If we were aware that every time we buy one more thing for the house, we divide and fraction our love. And that when we are seeking self-realization, we are integrating love. We will not need to throw the things away or get rid of them, but rather understand why we want them the way we want them. If we manage to do it, we will not need to get rid of the family or the things. Well, the family is a duty, but we have to know how far the duties and rights extend within the family in order to consciously advance in the integration of the real family and the disintegration of the psychological family. And well, this was today's conference. I leave you the invitation for the next conference called Meditation in Koans. There we will learn the technique of koans to gain access to the 6th and 7th dimensions of nature, also known as the heavens, from where we can obtain great wisdom and experience what it is like to live without ego. Thank you very much, and until next time. Bye.